Greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Deborah, and I'm here to discuss a variety of biblical topics. Today, I'm going to discuss what the Holy Bible says about the sons of what looks like Javan, but is actually pronounced Yavan, or the sons of the Greeks in the Old Testament. The Greeks are a tribe of white people who are labeled as Gentiles in the Holy Bible and are also referred to as heathens in the Old Testament. Since I have completed the 10-part series titled Why White People Are the Heathens of the Old Testament, today I intend to discuss part 2 of 2. The sons of the first Greek mentioned in the Holy Bible, namely Yavan. In part 1, I focused on Elisha and Tarshish. Today in part 2, I plan to focus on Tarshish, Kittim, and Dadanim. Next week, Lord willing, I intend to complete a video about the white tribe of the Medes in the Old Testament, which will include a brief summary of white people in the Old Testament. After that, I plan to begin the new series that will be known as Why White People Who Are Not Christians Are the Heathens of the New Testament. I do plan to start a series called King David and the Brothers after I have finished studying and sharing information about all white people and white tribes in the Holy Bible. If you would like immediate responses to your questions or concerns, please post them this evening during the Facebook Live presentation. I intend to respond immediately after today's Facebook Live presentation has ended, and after I have posted it on my YouTube channel titled The Gospel of the Kingdom, period. I do appreciate your gracious interest, and I thank you for your kind support. Let's continue with Tarshish, the second son of Yavan. For the sake of context, we'll review Genesis 10, 1 through 5, where the story of white people begins. Okay. All righty. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth. Japheth is the father of all white people. Gomer, that's Germany, and Magog, and Madai, that's who the Medes come from, and Yavan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer, again, that's Germany. Ashkenaz, and Ashkenaz is the person from whom the Ashkenazi Jews are descended, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Yavan, again, that's Greece, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dadanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. Although you may have been told that anyone who is not a Jew is a Gentile, it is quite obvious that false definition cannot be supported by scriptures. As you see, Gentiles are the tribe that the Catholic Church has defined, or we'll say redefined, as white people. And all Gentiles come from Japheth. Okay, the name of Tarshish, Greece's second son, means gem or precious jewel. Several scriptures that mention Tarshish are discussed in part 1 of the sons of Greece. We'll begin with the remaining scriptures. In previous videos, I have mentioned that racist prophet Jonah, whose name means a dove or a pigeon. Jonah didn't want to preach to the black Hamitic people of Nineveh, so he planned to disobey God and go to Gentile Tarshish, where the white people were. Okay, here we are in Jonah, first chapter. Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah, son of Amittai. I'll tell you what that means in just a moment. Arise, go to Nineveh. Now the people in Nineveh were not Jews, they were black people, descended from Asher, who is listed under Ham. That great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish. What was in Tarshish? Not black people. Okay. Tarshish, the second son of Yavon. Okay. From the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa. And he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it, to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Okay, now let's look at the names in here. Now he's described as Jonah, the son of Amittai. Now the name Amittai means to speak or represent the truth. So being honest seems like that's also a feature of Jonah. He was not obedient, but he was honest, which seems to be what his father's name meant. And the city, correctly pronounced Nineveh, first appears in Genesis 10 and 11, and it's listed under the descendants and cities of Ham. And he went down to, it looks like Joppa, but it's correctly pronounced Yafo, and that means beautiful. So even though he was among the Jews, he goes down to the beautiful city of Yafo so he can find a ship to go where the white people are, because he does not want to go preach to those black people that God sends him to preach to in Nineveh. Now, someone should have told old racist Jonah that it is impossible to run from the presence of the Lord because God is omnipresent. Anyway, after God delivered Jonah from his great fish experience, and Jonah finally went and preached to those black people of Nineveh. Now they repented so hard that they put sackcloth on their animals, which is something the Jews never, ever did. But Jonah still had a bad, horrible attitude toward what happened with his racist self. Okay, let's read a little bit more about Jonah. But it displeased Jonah exceedingly, and he was very angry. And he prayed unto the Lord and said, I pray thee, O Lord, was not this my saying when I was yet in my country? Therefore I fled before unto Tarshish, went in the wrong direction, because he said, for I knew that thou art a gracious God and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repentest thee of the evil. Therefore now, O Lord, take, I beseech thee, that means I beg you, my life from me. For it is better for me to die than to live. What kind of attitude is that? Now, Jonah was full of talk, because if he really wanted to die, he would not have prayed to God when he was inside the great fish. He just would have stayed there and died. Also, if he really wanted to die, he would have taken action, not begged God to kill him, which he knew God would not do. Still, Jonah is one of my favorite Bible personalities because, like a lot of us, he's hard-headed. In Ezekiel 27, God is condemning the black Hamitic king of Tyre. I'm also going to refer to him as a king of Tyrus. As God speaks to Tyrus, he mentions Gentile Tarshish in Ezekiel 27 and 12. Okay. Tarshish was thy merchant by reason of the multitude of all kind of riches, with silver, iron, tin, and lead. They traded in thy fairs. Yavan, Tubal, Meshech, they were thy merchants. Okay, and Tubal and Meshech are the brothers of Yavan or Greece. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. They of the house of Togarmah, and I think that's a brother of Yavan, traded in thy fairs with horses and horsemen and mules. Okay. Now, the multiple biblical references to the ships of Tarshish, especially in part 1, make it clear that white men had a renowned presence in the sea during the Old Testament and had been trading with black Hamitic people thousands of years ago. Maybe one day white people will accept and explore their Old Testament history. Tarshish appears again in the 38th chapter of Ezekiel, which describes the future great war between God and non-Christian white people. Okay, I'm sorry. I skipped one of these. Okay, let's go back to Ezekiel 27 and 25. Okay. The ships of Tarshish did sing of thee in thy market, and thou wast replenished and made very glorious in the midst of the seas. So that's what I meant to when I was referring to the ships of Tarshish, because they had a strong presence at that time. Now, as I said, it appears again in Tarshish appears again in the 38th chapter of Ezekiel, which describes the future great war between God and non-Christian white people. Ezekiel 38:11 begins with a description of the mindset of the white people who plan to attack Jerusalem, which is the capital city of Israel. Okay. All right. And thou shalt say, I will go up. This is their mindset. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, and that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil, and to take prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. Maybe I should put my glasses on so I can read a little better. Okay. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. So they're talking about the Jews that they're going to attack. Sheba and Dedan. Now these two are Hamitic tribes. And the merchants of Tarshish. Now that's one of the sons of Greece. So Tarshish means white people. With all the young lions thereof. Now when they refer to young lions, they're talking about young men who are ready to fight, the warriors thereof, shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? They're excited about the violence that they're going, or that they think they're going to do to Israel. And so we see here that once again, white and black people will work together to plan to destroy Jerusalem, although the scriptures make clear, especially in the 38th chapter of Ezekiel, that most of the people who attack Jerusalem will be Gentiles or white people in that future great war. Now, the third son of Yavon, or Greece, is Kittim, which means islander, 3794 in Strong's Concordance, and refers to the large island in the Mediterranean, now called Cyprus. Kittim is mentioned by the spiritually fickle prophet Balaam when he prophesies as the Jews cross over in the desert, led by Moses, on their way to Canaan, which of course will be renamed the land of Israel. When Balaam takes up his parable, the word parable means mashal, which means to have rule or have power. So when I read you the scripture about Balaam taking up his parable, it means he's taking up his word of power, his prophesy. He is predicting a fight wherein white people will attack Hamitic Asherites and Shemitic Eber, yet be destroyed. Okay. And here we have it here in Numbers 23 and 24. So, and we're talking about the prophet Balaam. And he took up his parable and said, Alas, who shall live when God doeth this? And ships shall come from the coast of Kittim, and shall afflict Asher, Asher is Hamitic, and shall afflict Eber, Eber is Shemitic, and he also shall perish forever. And Balaam rose up and went and returned to his place. Barak also went his way. Okay, now Balaam, though he was a prophet, he was not a Jew. His name, Balaam, means not of the people. It means foreigner. And Barak, whose name means lightning, was a king who hired Balaam to curse the Jews. But God made Balaam bless the Jews that day. Okay, in the book of Isaiah, God mentions Kittim's older brother, Tarshish, as God condemns again the black Hamitic king of Tyre and the black Hamitic city of Zidon. Oops. Okay. All right. The burden of Tyre. Howl, ye ships of Tarshish. There they're referred to again. For it is laid waste, so that there is no house, no entering in from the land of Kittim. It is revealed to them. And he said, Thou shalt no more rejoice, O thou oppressed daughter of Zidon. Zidon Semitic, just like Tyre. Arise, pass over to Kittim. Kittim is where white people are. There also shalt thou have no rest. Okay. All right. Now the white Kittim traded with the black people of Tyre and Zidon. God was letting the white people know that as he brought down the black people of those two cities, the white people descended from Kittim would not be able to help them. In the book of Jeremiah, God uses comparison of white and black people to see if either tribe has been as disobedient to him as the Jews have been. Okay. Wherefore, here we go, Jeremiah 2:9 through 11. Wherefore I will yet plead with you, saith the Lord, and with your children's children will I plead. For pass over the isles of Kittim, that's where white people are, and see, and send unto Kedar. Okay, now I have to talk about Kedar when I'm done with the scriptures. But they were black people. They were very black people. And consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. Hath the nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. Okay, now, as I said, Kittim is the island of Cyprus where white Gentiles were located. Kedar, which means to be black, was the second oldest son of Ishmael. And Ishmael was the oldest son of Abraham. Ishmael's mother was Egyptian, so she was black. In Genesis 25 and 13. Kedar, which is 6938 in Strong's Concordance, was very black, and his tents are mentioned in Song of Solomon 1 and 5. His name, Kedar, means to be very black. And we hear Kedar mentioned in Song of Solomon 1 through 5, when the bride of Christ speaks and says, I am black and comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. So apparently Kedar was very black, and the tents of Kedar were black as well. Now we return to the 27th chapter of the book of Ezekiel, where God is condemning the king of Tyrus. And the king of Tyrus was just extremely materialistic and ungodly. Okay, so we see the Lord describing the merchant trade. They have made all thy shipboards of fir trees of Senir. They have taken cedars from Lebanon to make masts for thee. Of the oaks of Bashan have they made thine oars. The company of the Asherites have made thy benches of ivory, brought out of the isles of Kittim. Okay, let's see what these words mean. Now, Senir here is 8149 in Strong's Concordance, and it's the top of a mountain. Okay, Senir means the top of a mountain of Lebanon. Okay, so they have these cedars growing there, and Lebanon is a mountain range near Israel. And Bashan, they don't know what that word means, but the Asherites are the descendants of Asher, and in Genesis 10 and 11, and it also may refer to those cedars. So we see that a lot of trade is going on. They're making masks from these cedars, and they use the oaks to make oars for ships. And these Asherites have made benches of ivory, which they got from the white people of Kittim. So a lot of trade was going on between black and white people thousands of years ago. Okay, so we see these benches of ivory are being produced by the white descendants of Kittim and are highly prized in many countries. Okay, our final mention of Kittim in the Old Testament occurs in the book of Daniel and refers to the Antichrist. Okay, here we are, Daniel 11:30. For the ships of Kittim shall come against him. They're talking about come against the Antichrist. Therefore he shall be grieved and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them. Oops, that should be that forsake, not the forsake. I'm sorry. That forsake the holy covenant. Okay, now why, when all of these other mainly white people are lining up with the Antichrist, why is Kittim attacking the Antichrist, which is a good thing? It's good that the ships of Cyprus are attacking the Antichrist. Well, as of today, Christians make up 72% of the white Gentile inhabitants of Cyprus. Maybe that's why they're going to attack the Antichrist in the future. Now, the youngest son of Yavon, or Greece, is Dadanim, and the meaning of that word is unknown. There is no mention of Dadanim other than in Genesis 10 and 1 Chronicles 1. Still, by examining the other sons of Greece, we are able to learn more about what the Gentiles did in the Old Testament and what God has in store for the Gentiles in the future. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel at the Gospel of the Kingdom, period, or follow me on my Facebook page, Dr. Deborah, 7 p.m. SATEST, so you won't miss a single video. Please like, share, and make comments on these videos, especially if you learn something about the scriptures. For any of my 4 free books titled How to Read the Bible, and that's 19 pages. The Gospel of the Kingdom, 77 questions and answers. If you want more scriptures and scriptural information, the scriptures are in blue, about what Jesus was talking about in the Gospel of the Kingdom, you can download all of my books for free. They have no price. My next book, Time Out for the Reprobate Saint. If you don't understand the behavior of people in the church, this may help you. And if you don't understand the behavior of some Christians, you might want information on the reprobate condition, and the scriptures are in red. And you can see the excellent artwork of the late Eric Dinkins and Ariel Echevarria. Okay, they did this beautiful artwork, which I appreciate. And again, my most recent book, The Black Sons of Abraham. Now, this is 235 pages. It has pictures from my trip to Egypt in 2019. And this wonderful artwork was done by Darian Greer. So if you want any of these books, they are freely available to you at any time at drdeborahbooks.com. Maybe you'll join me next Saturday at 7 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone when I plan to share a video titled, What Does the Old Testament Say About the Medes? 2 weeks from today, I intend to begin a new series titled Why White People Who Are Not Christians Are the Heathens of the New Testament, to be followed by a series titled King David and the Brothers, Lord willing. Blessings in Jesus' sweet name.